lot of questions today. I'll go through the first question here to something to do with some fundamental issues that we have with respect or in regard of some receipts, okay, that companies may receive, but I would say there's a gray area. We're not entirely sure whether it's actually income in nature or not. Then we have to find out. So this is exactly what we need to do. And then the second question is something to do with withholding tax. So I already completed my lecture of withholding tax, so that's why I'm going to cover one tutorial question on withholding tax as well. So it's a technical question. I'll cover that in a very detailed manner. So don't worry. Okay, let's go through the first question. So the first question here comes with two transactions. It's not one transaction, but two transactions here. The first transaction is something to do with compensation. The second transaction is subsidy. So as you can see from the question here, compensation. I already covered this in, I think, my pre-recorded session. I told you that, right? Compensation basically is a great area for asking. Because if you look at section 4 as in classes of income, 4A business income, 4B employment income, all the way to 4E and 4F, right? You cannot find the word compensation there. So which means, right, okay, if you receive a compensation, okay, this is a receipt, but we're not entirely sure whether it's income or not, because according to class of income under section 4, you can't find that term, but we have to find out. So when it comes to compensation, normally it's related to something that is not so positive. So you get compensated, right, for a negative event, a negative issue, right? So it is quite normal. It is quite normal for people to get a compensation, especially those in business. Even individual taxpayers, so sometimes we may have encounter some bad things that we get compensation from an insurance company. Yeah, seriously. So I've covered this in my lecture, pre-recorded session. Just give you an example of a form of compensation for individual taxpayer. Okay, let's say I buy insurance for my voice, for example, because I need to come to class and teach, right? I lost my voice, meaning I lost my profit yielding apparatus. Okay, so therefore, right, I have to cover my voice. I buy insurance for that. Okay, let's say, okay, I come one fine day, because I ate too much of Sichuan hot or something like that, right? Sichuan steamboat and things like that. I lost my voice, and therefore I went to the hospital. Okay, doctor there certified, oh, you better don't go to class for 2 weeks or maybe 2 months, even 2 months. You rest your voice. I just lost my voice. I can't come to class anymore. And because of that, right, the stupid university saying, I'm not going to pay you salary for the next 2 months. But luckily, I bought my insurance. So insurance company came in and said, okay, they look at the medical report and they say, okay, we are happy to actually compensate you to cover the 2 months of employment income that I've lost. So if that is the case, then what happened? Means, right, the compensation I receive from the insurance company is to cover my loss of employment income, correct or not? Subject to tax or not? Yes, then it becomes, okay, taxable. Why? According to substitution principle that I've covered, remember or not? Okay, I say that if you receive something to cover something that you have lost, so this something that you receive, right, you resume the characteristic of the things that you have lost. So I suffered loss of income because I cannot go to class for 2 months. I lost my employment income, and therefore compensation comes in to cover my loss of employment income. Therefore, this compensation will then become employment income in nature. Are you guys following? Okay, this is what I mentioned in principles of substitution. But is this in our income tax law? I will show you later on. I will discuss about this. Okay, so that's the general. Okay, under what circumstances, right, compensation can then become capital in nature? The example I gave you is something to do with revenue in nature, isn't it? Okay, under what circumstances it can become capital in nature? Like for a company, okay, let's say you have a company, you have a number of customers, okay, then you have signed contract to supply them with certain things. Okay, so one particular customer came to you and said that they want to terminate the contract, and they're willing to compensate you for the early termination of the contract. So you receive the money. Okay, this compensation is quite significant, and the best part is, right, this customer contributed 80% of the sales revenue of your company. So the termination of this particular contract with this customer, right, will cost you loss of sales revenue of 80%. Do you think this is significant? Would it threaten the going concern of the company? Yes, right. So if that is the case, right, this compensation will be treated as capital in nature. It is so significant that it will threaten the profit-yielding structure of the company. Okay, so it then becomes capital in nature. So that's how we differentiate. Straightforward, right? Okay. We've got this particular company, electrical appliances manufacturer called Sonic, right? Okay, so for this kind of company, it's very common for them to work with suppliers. Yeah, like Toshiba, Panasonic, all these things. They produce, let's say, for example, washing machine. Okay, washing machine. So the manufacturer, they produce the main components, okay, of that particular machine. Like for example, the motor, okay, the control panel, maybe the applications used to control the machine. Now, machines can also hook up to your smartphone now, Internet of Things, right? Okay, so these are the things, okay, the latest development. So the manufacturer will produce all these main components, but they will have to rely on suppliers for the sub-components. Like for example, the buttons, okay, on the machine, or maybe the plastic cover, things like that, right? So it's quite common for this kind of manufacturers, right? Sometimes they receive defective components from the supplier. That's exactly what happened in this case here. Okay, so Ecosonic received some defective or use some defective components from a supplier called Chinua Manufacturing, and because of that, right? Their finished products got some problem, defective finished products as well. So eventually, what happened after they sold the machine or the electrical appliances, right? Customers come back and claim for warranty claim. You know what's warranty claim, right? Okay, so with that, right, Ecosonic will have to spend money to repair, or may even have to do one-to-one swap. You know what's one-to-one swap, right? Those buy iPhone, you know, iPhone, how come you're paying so much, right? Because this kind of services, like 5,000 for a base model in iPhone. But anything happens to your phone, you just go back there, and then after they do the assessment, they will probably offer you a one-to-one swap. Okay, sometimes that. Okay, so that's why you're paying so much for that, right? So without this warranty and after-sales services, right, basically companies can't sell their product, especially those electrical appliances companies. So in this case, yeah, something like that. Okay, very simple. Ecosonic will have to deal with all the customer complaints, after-sales services, all the repair costs, and they incurred expenses, correct now. And then on top, then because of that, right, they receive a compensation of 50,000 from the supplier to settle the case. Okay, the company, maybe the supplier does not want to go to the court and settle it because they want to have a long-term relationship. Question: is this 50,000 compensation taxable income in the accounts of Ecosonic? So this is what this is the questions that you may get from your employer or client in the future. That's exactly what they will ask you. Hey, I received 50,000 compensation. What am I going to do with this? Am I supposed to pay tax? You know, so you have to advise. This is what exactly you have to do if you want to become a tax accountant or even management accountant. You have to answer this kind of questions sometimes. So what would be your conclusion or suggestion? You must be able to give advice in the future. If you're not able to give advice, right, your jobs will be taken over by robots. That's simple. Okay. So now we have to focus on higher level higher level kind of skills. No longer like you just do close the accounts, produce a P&L and balance sheet, and that's all. No, you must focus on the analysis part, and also you must focus on advisory as well to advise your potential employer and also your customers. So advise me. I need advice. I got 50,000. I received this. Okay. Let's say I'm the boss of Ecosonic. I got 50,000 here from Chinua as a compensation. Tell me, am I supposed to pay tax or not? Hello. Why? Why do I have to pay tax? I don't want to pay tax. Tell me, why should I pay tax?
The compensation is for the loss of income related to provider.
Which parts of the law say so? Don't be surprised. These are the reaction by your future clients and also your employer. Which part of the law say so? Why should I pay tax?
The compensation is not so significant until you become a taxpayer.
Okay, I buy that idea, but which part of the law say so? The law didn't say so. What? You get nasty things like that. I'm telling you. Yes. Anyone done your internship in audit firm or something like that? Anyone? So sometimes you ask your client for information, right? That's how they respond to you, right? Why do you want to know? Correct, not? Yes, I don't have that one. So how? Correct, not? The kind of response you get. It's exactly, I'm telling you how nasty things can be. Okay, so yeah, good. Yeah. The principle that we have learned, right? Okay, look at this from the perspective of. Do you want to argue this from the perspective of capital in nature? Do you think it's considered as capital in nature, the 50,000 compensation? Yes, good. Significance. Okay, tell me, significance or not? I don't know. I just got the 50,000. How do I know whether it's significant or not? Look at this one. What do you think? Any benchmark you want to use? Okay. Okay. Only some inventories only, right? And then if you look at the company, it's an electrical appliance manufacturer. Do you think 50,000 will threaten the going concern of this company or not? Electrical appliance company would be something like Panasonic, for example. I don't even want to use Panasonic. I use Panasonic only. The cheapo, Malaysian brand. So do you think 50,000 will threaten the going concern that the company will close down for this kind of event? It's quite normal, isn't it, for them to deal with defective components from suppliers, isn't it? And 50,000, not so significant, if you ask me. So with that, we can rule out the possibility of capital in nature. So that's how you answer your client. I don't think so. It's capital. If it's capital in nature, no need to pay tax. Why? If your company is so big, 50,000 is what? That's how you respond to that. Yeah, exactly. So okay, now then in that case, right, you have to convince the boss it's actually revenue in nature. So you use the principle saying that, right? Substitution principle. I mentioned this, right? Okay, in my pre-recorded session. So if you receive something, that is something to cover something that you have lost. So in that case, right, the something that you receive the characteristics of something that you have lost. Substitution principle. So in this case here, Ecosonic suffer loss of income. Are you all agree with that? Because they have the income repair cost, correct or not? So in that case, they will suffer loss of income, correct or not? Yes, right. So the compensation received by Ecosonic is a substitute of those income they have lost. In that case, the compensation will then due as income in nature. Are you guys following? Right. Okay. But this is only the principle, as I said. Then your client or your boss will come and challenge you. When you say only which part of the law says so. If the law say I must pay tax, then I cannot do anything about it. You see, that's the mentality of the taxpayer. You try to find the loophole and try not to pay tax. You get what I mean? So you will have to. Now, if your stand is this is revenue in nature, you know very well that you have to pay tax. You still have to deal with the income tax law. Okay, then you have a concrete evidence to tell your client or your boss, hey, pay tax, don't pay tax. Okay, so how? Go back to the Bible. This is our Bible. Income tax Act 1967. That's simple. Okay. Those days, this stick lah. Not to take only this stick lah. Then we have to flip. We have to look for the keywords. If you're lucky, within 1-2 hours you'll be able to find what you want. If you're not so lucky, right, then you check one whole day you cannot find anything. Okay, those days we don't have the soft copy, we have hard copy. Now it's very easy. With the soft copy, what can you do? Here copy some. Yes, Control F. Fine. So what are you trying to find here? Keyword, right? Search for compensation. That's exactly what we're looking for, right? Okay, we have the first hit here. This one says compensation for overpayment of tax. Relevant to us? No. Overpayment of tax, nothing to do with us, right? Tax. Good. Yeah. Okay, second one. Any amount received by employee, whether before or after his employment ceases by way of compensation. Is that related to us? This is something to do with employment income. Ours is business transaction, not employment income. In fact, you have learned this already actually. When you do MPS. See this one? A covenant entered into by employee restricting covenant, still remember enough MPS. That's right. If you receive a compensation for restricted covenant, taxable or not. What is restricted covenant? Still remember enough. You sign a contract with your employer, promise that if you resign, you do not join competitor for 2 years. Okay, then you get compensated. Right? So this compensation by right is supposed to be capital in or because you're assigning your right. Too bad tax office play cheating. They added this into section 13.1 as a subsection there, okay, under paragraph E, saying that if you receive this kind of compensation to pay tax, it becomes a pure perquisite now. Perquisite as in something like your salary, the bonus that you receive. Okay, but this is not what we want. We might move on. Compensation for loss of income from that source. From that source. Sounds like it isn't it? So from which source? Never mentioned. We do not know. Okay, that means this is a general section, right? To tell us that compensation for loss of income. It could be from employment source, it could be from business source, any source, like what I mentioned just now. I use insurance coverage, okay, to cover my loss of employment income because I cannot go to class. I lost my voice for let's say 2 months. Okay, I need to rest. So therefore I get compensation. So that's compensation, which means if the insurance compensation I receive, okay, is to cover my loss of income during the 2 months employment income, right? Then the compensation is income in nature under section 4B, employment income as well. Are you guys following? Okay, so this one here, it seems like we have a match here. So let's look at what section is this. Okay, this is the one. Section 22, gross income in general. So you guys learn about gross income when you do your MTD, MTS, right? You look at, okay, when you do the tax computation, sales revenue is gross income. And then expenses is a deduction, right? So exactly what is gross income? So basically, it's telling us that normally, like for example, your sales revenue, your service income, all those are gross income. And also some receipts, okay, that I would say that they are gray area. Subject to this act here, subsection 2, the gross income of a person from a source of his, what source? Never mentioned, any source. For basis period of a YA shall include any sums receivable or due to have been received. That means accrual basis or receipt basis all covered. Okay? From that basis period in relation to that source by way of compensation for loss of income. So we have a match here. We have a match here. In fact, if you look at A, paragraph A here, insurance indemnity, recoupment, recovery, reinvestment, or otherwise, where such sums are in respect of the kind of outgoings and expenses deductible in STA adjusted income of that person from that source. Do we have a match here as well? In A1? What do you think? Do we have a match here as well? Just I mentioned that because on it, we have to incur costs in order to rectify the problem, isn't it? Repair costs and things like that, right? So do you think Ecosonic can take deduction for those expenses they incurred or not? Yes or no? Yes, right. Wholly and exclusively in the production of income. Company will have to provide after-sales services, warranty claims. Otherwise, they cannot do business. That's simple. So it's actually in the production of income, in the normal cost of business. So therefore, okay, those expenses are outgoings. That means the repair costs are deductible. Yes, and therefore any sum received, okay, as a reimbursement or recoupment to cover that expenses should be deemed as gross income. Are you guys following enough? So that means the compensation received from Chinua Manufacturing, right, is actually a reimbursement. Okay, it's like a reimbursement to cover all those expenses incurred. So in that case, right, I see a strong indication of A1 here as well. Are you guys following? So there are two here, A1 and also B. We have a match. Especially if the expenses incurred by Chinua, expenses incurred by Ecosonic, right, is coincidentally to be 50,000. So 50,000 compensation, 50,000 expense deduction, yes, perfect match. And they fall squarely under A1. Okay, A1 and B also. Okay, so this is how cover. Okay, stand up photo. question. Just now I say from principle, yes, substitution principle, but we have to find from the law, the act, to see whether substitution principle has been incorporated or not. Yes, yes, it's already codified in our income tax law under section 22. So now you have the weapon to challenge the client. Okay, so just tell the boss of equals on it, sorry, you have to pay tax. Why? This law says so. Otherwise, they won't pay. Seriously, that's what you have to deal with. You have to convince them that you have to pay tax. Otherwise, tax office found them right, and in the tax audit, they will be in big trouble. They will be in big trouble. Okay, so I asked this question: taxable as business income? Yes, I already explained that extensively in section 22. How to apply that? You can do a bit of work. Okay. And I put a box there. The box there, again, I put in the case. Your Stinto manufacturing versus CCIR. So the case, if I remember correctly, that company was a Japanese company. What happened is that, right? They claim deduction for defective components. Tax office said no. Then they lost. Tax office lost the case eventually. So this is to confirm that those expenses incurred by electronic is tax deductible. When it's tax deductible means it's okay. The compensation will fall squarely under 22(2)(a)(1). So to be fair, electronic claim deduction for the repair cost. On the other hand, the compensation, okay, they receive for the loss in income, right, subject to tax, which I think is fair. Are you guys following? Okay, good. Actually, the expenses incurred by the loss of income suffered by electronic may even bigger than 50,000, because they also suffer loss of their own image reputation. So that one is priceless. It's very difficult to ascertain, or very difficult to quantify. Because now they are having a lot of competitors, right? So maybe in the future, we'll not say I'm not very happy customer, will not really want to buy their products. This can be a new case. Questions? No. Okay. So we go back to the second transaction in the question here. The second transaction here is something to do with the subsidy received by the company. So in general, what I refer to subsidy is, okay, let me just tell you this one. Some of these companies, right, okay, what happens is they receive subsidy or grant, okay, in order to help them to expand their business. I just give you now. The problem with subsidy is subsidy can come in the form of capital in nature or revenue in nature as well. Subsidy received in revenue in nature will be subjected to income tax very different. It's considered as income in nature. Okay, so let's look at this one here. Okay, what I put this example. Now, assuming that I have covered this slightly in my previous session, just let me recap that. Right? Now, assuming that you have a company, your company is very good in developing applications or games, okay, for Android phone, iOS phone, and also Harmonious phone, Huawei phone. So how do you make money? Very simple. Okay, your company develops applications for the games, and then you put that on these three platforms for sale. Okay, these three platforms, Google's Play Store, for example. And then the user can download and they can use the application for free. But if they want to use some advanced features, right, you have to pay. So that's how your company make money. That's how your company make money from the fee, the subscription, okay, made by the users. So that's how you make money. So the question here is that, okay, this kind of industry is highly encouraged here in Malaysia. Okay, because our government wants people to actually move from the conventional economy right to high tech. Okay, so IT industry and things like that. Right? So they're willing to offer a lot of incentives. Okay, and also a lot of companies that also big companies that they're willing to provide grants or subsidy, right, to small startup, to strengthen the business, to expand the business. So assuming that you have this kind of company, small startup at the moment, but very successful, applications are very sellable. Okay, now one fine day you receive, let's say, you receive a grant or a subsidy from Maxis, let's say Maxis, they want you to help them to develop applications for Maxis users only. So they're more than happy to finance you to strengthen your business. So they give you a subsidy or two subsidies. The first subsidy they give it to you, right? Okay, this subsidy is for you to upgrade your computer server. Okay, upgrade your computers, upgrade your infrastructure. Okay, and then the other one, another subsidy, Maxi say, okay, you can use this subsidy to pay your office rental and also to pay the salary of your IT engineers. The two subsidies here, the first one is to help you to do a system upgrade your computer system, buy hardware, software, whatever. And then the other subsidy is to help you to pay rental and also salary of your staff. Question to you would be, right? The first subsidy to help you to upgrade your computer system, capital in nature or revenue in nature? Capital in nature or revenue in nature? Revenue or capital? Very important, because it's revenue with the pay tax. It's capital, then okay lah, not too bad. Capital or revenue in nature? Capital? Reason? Okay. Now, the money spent by your company to upgrade the computer system, right? Okay. Can you claim a deduction under Section 33 now? The money you spend to upgrade your computer system, buy servers, okay, buy new software and things like that, to strengthen your IT infrastructure. Okay, so my question to you, can you claim deduction under Section 33? Cannot, right? Cannot. It's actually capital in nature. The money you spend, okay, under Section 39, you cannot claim any deduction. But what can you claim for the money you spend in upgrading your system? What can you claim? CA, capital allowances, right? So as the name indicates, capital in nature. That means the subsidy you will receive, okay, in order for you to upgrade your computer system, that you can claim CA, capital in nature. Capital in nature. What about the second grant or the second subsidy? Help you to pay your rental, office rental, and also your salary. Revenue or capital in nature? Very simple. Look at the money you spend. You pay office rental. You pay salary. Can you claim deduction for that or not? It's revenue in nature, isn't it? So the subsidy you receive to cover this revenue or capital in nature. That's simple. Okay, so in fact, that has already been captured under Section 22(2)(a)(1) just now. Correct or not? The subsidy you receive as a reimbursement or recoupment of the expenses that you incurred. So subsidy 2 is definitely going to be revenue in nature. But okay, now, what happens if you receive this grant or subsidy from the government? Now, then if it's from government, we don't care whether it's capital or revenue, tax exempted. Because, sorry, not tax office, MOF, they have already issued a blanket exemption order saying that, right, don't worry. Okay, if you receive a grant or subsidy from the government, tax free, tax exempted. Okay, so don't worry. Okay. So I'm just telling you that in case if you receive grant or subsidy from private entities, you have to be mindful. Okay, now back to this one here. So this is a subsidy. Now this one is received from the government. By right, it's supposed to be tax exempted, capital or revenue in nature, doesn't matter. Just trying to look at it from the perspective of for academic discussion. We just ignore what you call it, the exception. Okay, we don't care about exception. We just ignore. We just assume that there's no exception. Let's look at whether this subsidy is capital or revenue in nature. The subsidy received, right, is okay, for the company. Now, companies are encouraged to recruit certificate holders. Okay, young certificate holders, occasional certificate holders here. Okay, if they recruit young occasional certificate holders, the government will give them a subsidy. One person, 1,000. One young certificate holder they recruit, but they will get 1,000. So in total, the company received 8,000. They have recruited 8 occasional certificate holders there. So because of that, the government gives them a subsidy of 8,000. Question: is this 8,000 subsidy subject to tax or not? We just ignore the exemption order, assuming that there's no exemption order. So look at this one. The 8,000 is revenue or capital in nature? What do you think? is the vocational certificate holder, right? You know what is TVET or not? In Malaysia, TVET, vocational training. You don't know. You better stop watching all the Korean movies. This is actually becoming more and more. Okay, I just show you this one, TVET. Now, level education which provide knowledge and skills related to occupations in various sectors, okay, including electronic, electrical, all those technical stuff. Okay, in fact, it's actually highly encouraged now in Malaysia. Let me show you the. Where's the news? This is the one. Highly encouraged now. Okay, TVET programs will be accepted regardless of academic background. So basically, it's to actually encourage some of the school leavers, especially after COVID-19. We have got a lot of school leavers. You guys are very lucky. During COVID, you can still go to college, you can still go to university. There are a lot of young people, right, in the rural areas, right, they have to drop out from school. So now we have the problem there. So what happens is that, right, it's actually better for them to sign up to do the TVET program, vocational program, of which they will be trained to have a skill to repair motor vehicles, for example, to repair machines and things like that, so they can make a living. And I'm telling you, TVET program is very, very popular in developed countries like Finland, Norway, or this. There, in all these developed countries, right? In fact, they don't encourage university degree. Why? Because they're so developed, they have got enough graduates already. So what they need will be those technical people. That's why in those countries, right, they actually encourage TVET program. Not like Malaysia. In this part of the world, right, because we're still developing. That means we still need more graduates from the university to help to lay down the foundation. Okay, that's why we need young graduates from the university. But in the future, maybe 30 years later, 20 years later, we become very developed. At that point in time, right, we will not need so many graduates from university anymore. We will need people from the TVET program. It is the vocational certificate holders. Then you will have the skill to do work. Okay, and in fact, accounting is actually a TVET. If you ask me strictly speaking, I don't see accounting as a degree because we have look at this professional qualifications like ECCA, ICW, all those things, right? They're professional. So which means they are, if you ask me, like very technical stuff, vocational in nature. If you ask me, you're trained to have a skill to do things, not just theory this, theory that. No. Okay, we need people who can really work, join the workforce and perform. Not talking about theory, dream big, act little, that kind of things. Okay, so that's why don't worry, accounting graduates are still okay, no problem. Okay, so this is exactly what TVET vocational program. In the future, this is going to be more popular. Okay, so don't worry. So now you know what is TVET. So this is exactly what happened. This is the manufacturing companies. They have a lot of machines, right? They need technical people to take care of that, to repair, okay, to do maintenance and things like that. So, okay, in order to encourage companies to recruit the vocational certificate holders, right? Government came up with this particular scheme here. Question to you would be: the money received by Ecosonic, is that subject to income tax or not? Why yes?
No matter got these subsidies or not, he still need to hire the certificate holders to help that to manufacture.
Yes. It's day-to-day business operation, put it this way. So look at it from like what I mentioned just now, a bit of matching here. These 8 vocational certificate holders, right? Okay, recruited by Ecosonic. Do you think Ecosonic have to pay salary? Definitely, isn't it? No need to pay. But treat them like slave. Just give them food voucher and that's it. Have to pay, isn't it? Salary, isn't it? So in that case, the subsidy received, right, okay, is to partly finance the salary expense incurred by Ecosonic. Do you all agree or not? So don't you see the section 22, 2A1 will come into the picture as well? It's a reimbursement. Correct or not? So that's why, right, okay, this subsidy is also considered as income in nature because on it you have to spend the deductible expenses in order to recruit these young certificate holders. To be fair, the subsidy will be income in nature, the cost study can include deductions or the cost incurred to recruit the research shareholders. Don't treat them like slaves. They have to pay salary. Even internship also get big money now, right? How much people are operating for 1,500? Wow. That's why I know some parents are still very sad. Don't worry. and this kind of incentive actually is not a very good sign to us. Now, never mind. Back to this one. Section 22(1), A1. Okay, we will actually tell us that the subsidy is actually tax free income. And in fact, we have got a lot of this kind of incentives in Malaysia. I'll share with you another one more. Yeah? Now, I forgot to mention, this particular subsidy is actually coming from the government, right? By right, you don't even have to bother capital or remuneration, exempted straight away. I'm just saying that in the future, if government, not government, if subsidy is given by private entities, big organizations, for example, not government, right? Then you look at whether it's capital or remuneration. Okay. Give you this example here. This one was actually granted back in 2012, yes, all the way to 2020. Okay, to encourage business entities to recruit unemployed graduates. Not a very good sign if you ask me. This kind of incentive is needed when the employment market is not that encouraging. The job market was having problem for the young graduates. Okay, in fact, I think now we still have that problem, but starting graduates are okay. We have looked at the survey, not too bad, 90% employed, so it's okay. But for some other institutions, you may have a problem. Okay. And in fact, this scheme has already ended in 2020, but it's not ended, has been rebranded, changed name already to some other things. They don't want to use the scheme Latihan Satu Malaysia anymore. Why? Because it's Satu Malaysia, right? Previous government. Now it's Madani, so it's different now. The tagline has changed, so it's different now. But as I said, this is not a very good sign to us. If our job market is good, right, it's a double deduction from companies to recruit all these unemployed workers. The salary payment, right, expense are double up 2 times. Okay. This one example. Okay, question 2 a bit covered, so I don't think I want to cover. So here, the subsidy is actually revenue in nature because it's to part finance. To partly fund the salary expenses incurred by income tax to recruit the certificate holders. Okay, so with that, I'm done with this. Let's move on to another one. So 2 tax transactions we've covered. Move on. Another 2 more tax transactions we've covered in this tutorial question. Withholding tax. So I've covered withholding tax in my lecture on Monday, so now I will move on to cover some tutorial questions. Cover question 2 first. Question 1 is a bit long winded, so I'll cover question 3. So this is actually a question taken from ACCA practice guide. Okay, from the practice guide of the basic tax paper, F6 paper, not advanced tax, not advanced tax, basic tax paper. So this is a very good question on withholding tax, of which right there are 2. Okay, in this particular contract here of 1.8 million, there are 2 different elements inside that. Okay, which most of the students they make mistake. Okay, when you do the computation of the withholding tax. Okay, so according to the information that we have here, it's very straightforward. We have got a Malaysian company, Buildcon here. Okay, they got a contract from the government to build a bridge, and therefore they need expert from foreign engineering firm. So they recruited this company from Japan. Okay, they got this. They engaged this company from Japan, Ashton here, based in Japan. Okay, in order to oversee a project management. Okay, project management. What do you call that? Japanese company, right, they will have a local engineering office, a site office here in Malaysia. Okay, so then this particular contract, the gross value of the contract, the total contract sum is 1.8 million. But be mindful, inside this 1.8 million, we have two elements there. Then the period of contract is 24 months. Another piece of very, very important information. Why 24 months is important, I'll tell you later on that. Now, included in the contract value of 1.8 million, right, 400,000 is for the supply of machine and equipment. So the Japanese company, they got this contract, 1.8 million. Out of this 1.8 million, 400,000 is for them to supply a machine to the Malaysian company, okay, to be used in the construction site. And then another 1.4 million of the contract sum, right, is for them to provide the project management services. So we have service contract, and also at the same time we have supply of machine contract there as well. Are you guys following? So two different things. Remember what I mentioned in my class? I said at the moment, supply of machine, okay, by a non-resident company or supply of goods by a non-resident company at the moment, it will not be subjected to weekly tax because we don't have the section yet, okay, to cover that. Okay, only the service portion under 107 capital A or 109 capital B, weekly tax will come into the picture. Okay, I mentioned that now. Let's look at the first item. Now, for this question, we don't have to discuss on the 400,000 of the supply of plant and machinery, but it's okay. Just additional knowledge for you. The question didn't ask, but let me just discuss with you. What happened to the 400,000? Are you guys following? Japanese company need to supply a machine 400,000 to Malaysian company, and at the same time supply services 1.4 million. Let's focus on the 400,000 supply of machine. The sale of machine there, okay, from the Japanese company to the Malaysian company. So the Japanese company will have 400,000 worth of sales revenue, correct now, from the sale of the machine, subject to tax in Malaysia now. Subject to tax in Malaysia now. Let's focus on the 400,000 supply of machine first, subject to tax in Malaysia now. No? Why not? Yes? Why yes? Assuming that I'm the Japanese company, Ashton, I come to you, you are my tax consultant in Malaysia. Hey, I sell machine to this company in Malaysia called 400,000. Do I have to pay tax here? I pay you a fee, you have to answer me. Okay? What do you think? Would it be subjected to tax in Malaysia? Yes. Yes or no? Okay, go through the same process again. Ask the first question. First question, the 400,000 worth of sale of what do you call it? A machine there. Okay, the sales revenue, right? What class of income is this? Under section 4. For small a business income, right? Okay. Questions: is this 4A business income derived from Malaysia? Under section 4. Japanese company sell the machine to Malaysia. So you will send the machine from Japan to Malaysia. And then they charge, they send the invoice 400,000. So is this 400,000 worth of, we all agree this is a business income in the accounts of the Japanese company, 4A, but derived from Malaysia. What's the criteria to say that it's derived from Malaysia? Place of business. Yes, or permanent establishment. Do you see that? Now, unless the site office is a sales office, the site office is to monitor, to oversee the project management, so that not a sales office. So in that case, is the Japanese company having a permanent establishment or place of business in Malaysia? No. No, right? So can we say that the 4A business income is derived from Malaysia? No. That's simple. This case is very straightforward. If you have listened to my pre-recorded session, still remember this or not? This is a very direct case of the Japanese company exported the machine Malaysian company imported the machine. So it's a very straightforward export and import case. So in that case, if you refer back to my slides, okay, I show you two scenarios, trading with and trading in. So this is a scenario of trading in or trading with. With, trading with. Japanese entity trading with a Malaysian entity. So who will be taxing this particular sales revenue? Japanese tax authority or Malaysia? Japanese, not the Malaysian tax authority. Unless the Japanese company has got a sales office over here in Malaysia, specifically to help them to sell the machine in Malaysia, then yes, the 400,000 is derived from Malaysia, then subject to tax in Malaysia. Are you guys following? So in this case here, no, the 400,000 is a very straightforward import and export case. No income tax in Malaysia. Are you guys following? Yeah. So now that part is not required for our questions. We have to focus on the withholding tax on the 1.4 million. So for the 1.4 million service contract, right? Okay, subject to tax in Malaysia. Services provided in Malaysia, right? Very straightforward, right? But tax at 4 small a income or 4 capital A income. There are two things, man. There are two things there, right? Service income is either 4 small a income or 4 big A income. Big A or small A? Big A or small A? Big A. Whether it's a big A or small A, we look at whether the Japanese company has got a place of business in Malaysia or not. Permanent establishment, correct or not? They have a site office here for at least how long? 24 months. 24 months, isn't it? So this is a very important piece of information because this local engineering office or site office here, right, will determine whether the Japanese company is having a permanent establishment or not in Malaysia. You get what I mean or not? So look for this information in our here. DTA. Okay, look at the DTA. Article 5. Okay, Article 5, permanent establishment or place of business. Look at this one here. Do you think the Japanese company is having a place of business here or permanent establishment here? More than 6 months, isn't it? So, what section do we want to tax on this? For small a or for big A? There is a permanent establishment here. For small a or for big A? Small a or big A? The big A and small a, if you look at the slide I gave to you, right? We look at whether permanent establishment is here or not in Malaysia. If there is a permanent establishment in Malaysia, like this one here, the Japanese company is having a site office over here. There is a PE here in Malaysia. Tax office you use 4A, not 4 capital A. You know why? 4 capital A, the tax rate is limited to maybe 5%. Okay, max is 15. As I know, max is actually 10% at the moment. But if it's a normal income tax, how many percent? 24%. So the tax office, right, if possible, they want to tax it under for small a. They can do so only if there is a permanent establishment established by the taxpayer. So in this case here, do you think the tax office will use small a or for capital A? Small a. Okay, because there's a permanent establishment over here. Okay, and the best part is the Japanese company is not a resident because they have not exercised their management and control in Malaysia, right? So in that case, okay, this is a payment received. The service income is income received by non-resident, subject to withholding tax. Yes. Section 107 capital A. Withholding tax will come into the picture. That means UCon, when they pay the service income, they will pay 100%. They will take out 10 plus 3%. Look at the lecture illustration that comes 10 plus 3%. So that is where we have to pay attention. So this is going to be a 4 small a business income in the accounts of the Japanese company. Derived from Malaysia, yes, permanent establishment here, site office more than 6 months. Okay, and the recipient, Japanese company, not a resident here, withholding tax will come into the picture, which means Bucon will have to help the tax office to collect the tax in advance. And the last thing is, Japanese company will still have to file their income tax return in Malaysia. Remember the lecture illustration that I covered? So the Japanese company will still have to file tax return in Malaysia. And okay, now let's move on to, I'll show you some indicative points here. So we are supposed to do all these things here. Everything to do with withholding tax. All the things we have to do with withholding tax. Now let me show you the part here. Okay, get started. So this is, okay, what happened to the service portion. I didn't provide the answer on the supply of machine because it's not really required by the question, but we discussed it. Okay, so this one here, the service portion is 1.4 million. Subject to tax, yes. Service income under 4 small a. Why? Because they have a permanent establishment here in Malaysia. So the tax rate that we use, because according to the DTA, when it's a business income earned through a permanent establishment, right, the relevant tax authority or tax legislation will be applied. So in this case here, since the income is earned in Malaysia, our tax legislation will come into the picture. Tax legislation of Malaysia states that it's 10 plus 3. I've covered this extensively using my lecture illustrations. So the 10%, Bucon will help to collect the tax on behalf of the tax office. That will be 140,000 then. Okay, and this 140,000 eventually will then become a tax credit in the accounts of Ashton, because Ashton will have to pay tax in Malaysia, isn't it? You will have to file the income tax, then you have to calculate, then we will know exactly how much tax Ashton is supposed to pay in Malaysia. Okay, if let's say Ashton need to pay 200,000, then the 1,000 is 140,000, right? Is a tax credit. So the balance of 60,000, Ashton will have to top up, right? If let's say Ashton, the final tax liability of Ashton in Malaysia, let's say it's only 60,000, for example. In that case, there will be a refund. There will be a refund of 80,000 back to Ashton. That's exactly how it works. And for the 3%, okay, this 42,000 over there, right? It's just like a security deposit. Okay, of which the tax office want to make sure that Ashton will play their role in Malaysia to make sure that their employees pay tax here in Malaysia, and they will fulfill all the tax requirements in Malaysia, including the monthly tax deduction as an employer, okay, all those stuff. If that is the case, again, Ashton will get a refund eventually for the 3%. Look at my lecture illustrations. I gave you 2 lecture illustrations then. The 10% and also the 3%. I already covered that in my lecture illustration. Okay, so now this particular question also have got another one more item here. This is something to do with Bucon also leased a crane, rented a crane from a non-resident company in Singapore, rough 2, and the rental amount is 30,000. Will this be subjected to income tax or not? This amount is paid to a non-resident company located in Singapore, 30,000. This is a typical Section 4 Capital A 3 income, rental of movable property. You know what's a crane or not? Actually, we have got one over there, construction site there. Just in case you don't know what is a crane. You guys just watch Korean movie and pay attention on your day-to-day life. Not this one, not this one. This one, okay, this one. Okay, next to the construction site that you see all this. Okay, so this one is a movable property. It can be dismantled and moved. Okay, so therefore, now this particular amount paid to the Singapore company, non-resident Malaysia, right, subject to tax, withholding tax, and the withholding tax is going to be final. Okay, that's that. Now, according to the question, instead of photo first, I'll explain why I use 10% here. use 10% here. This is the withholding tax. Build cost, we have to take 10%. This 10% is coming from our Income Tax Act. So in fact, this is section 4 capital A. If you want, you can put bracket 3 here, income. Section 4 capital A bracket 3 income. To be more exact, okay, is actually from section 4 capital A 3 income. That's the exact answer. Okay. So why 10%? Because according to the trustees, right, we're supposed to ignore DTA for the tax rate. We don't care about the DTA. This is what we normally do in exam. Because sometimes when we say exam questions, right, we do not want to attach the double taxation avoidance agreement together with the exam paper. So therefore, we ask the student ignore the tax rate in DTA. Just use whatever tax rate we give to you. Okay, so that's why I say ignore that. So that's why I put 10% here. Okay, 10%. And the last thing here is that, right, the one helping tax office to collect tax will be Buildcon, Malaysian company, because it's withholding tax, right? And then the next thing is, now for Ashton, right, the service income they receive is not a final tax, they still have to file the income tax here. Look at the lecture illustration I provided to you. Okay, but for route 2, the rental for the crane, right, that one is final. 10%, that's it. Okay. No more